Well, I think with the amateurs, there's a lot of people are very grateful to see a physio, very grateful to receive assistance and help. They've often parted money, so they've got some, I call it skin in the game, so to speak, so that they're actually going to do the exercises, whereas a lot of the professional athletes don't have that skin in the game, and
No,
therefore
there's a sense of entitlement, isn't there?
there is a bit of that.
We've noticed that a lot in here, actually. We have a lot of team sport athletes that come through from different sports at times, particularly in off seasons and those kind of things. And the difference between them and the track and field athletes typically we deal with, it's worlds apart. The track and field athletes are killing themselves to get better and to recover from an injury, whereas a lot of the team sport athletes are like, well, why am I not getting this for free? And it's very, very interesting. I think the professionalization of sport, particularly, and this is going to sound very critical, but I think it comes from my background of being in track where there isn't a lot of money, potentially when the athletes probably, I don't know, the word's not right to say earned, but the level of professionalism that they bring to their so-called professional sport doesn't actually match the time and effort being put in by people in, say, I would say Olympic sports.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree. I'd take it one step further and probably say there's a little bit in ownership of the pathology or whatever they've got. The professional athlete relinquishes ownership and gives it to the medical staff.
They handball it really quickly, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And whereas the other guys have got ownership because they are willing to try and get it, as you say, they're really going to kill themselves to get better and get back into the sport. So I think there is this transfer of ownership is a big problem in the management.
Well, it's interesting because you would know Brady Green. We had him on in one of our episodes, and it's interesting. He works at Essendon Football Club, and it's clear that when you've got a staff of 20 people who are in the performance and sports medicine team, it very quickly becomes them managing what the athlete's doing rather than the athlete being part of that involvement. And we asked him the question. I don't know that we probably got a really deep exploration of it, but to me, that almost seems a little bit the wrong way round. And in any times I've worked in those settings, it's become very much about the professional ego of that team and how well that they can put that below the needs of the athletes and even the team and the sport and the coaches and what they're trying to achieve in terms of performance. That's a weird balancing act for me, and I don't know that it always gets achieved in some of those settings. And you probably have some experience with that working in elite sport.
Yeah, I mean, I found it very difficult to differentiate between, because I've worked with individual athletes like track and field, which is you can grab hold of an individual approach to their management. Whereas with the team, it's the team.
Yep.
And what I've noticed, and perhaps it's just my naive impression, is that you actually move from the payer of the bills and the owner of the bills is the team, as opposed to the individual. And so
we did speak to Brady about that. Where do you sit? Who's driving this bus? Because you're getting paid by the club to get a result for the club, not necessarily always for the athlete.
Yep, agree totally. And I think that's very similar to private practice versus hospital. The owner of the health system and the hospital is the Minister of Health.
Yeah.
And so they want bang for their bucks. And I think that's what happens with the team. We're paying this guy, we want him on the field. And I found that it becomes very policy driven.
Yes.
You've got this and very diagnostic driven in the sense that, you've got this pathology, therefore this protocol, we're going to follow this protocol because we've got to try and minimize the risk, which is not having them on the field, and maximize. Whereas the other guys, right, this is your injury, we've got X amount of time and we've got to get you better.